Welcome to Alienized Photos Industry Talk. I'm here with a special guest to my right. I know y'all can't see it or see us. This is straight audio. But to my right, I have Miss Justine, an excellent interior designer with Just Designs. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well. I can't complain. We got started. We're both introverts, but we're making it happen.
Yes.
So, would you like to tell the audience about yourself?
So I am Justine Johnson. I'm the owner and lead designer of Just Designs. I'm an interior designer and a resin artist. So I started my business back in 2020. I began offering initially resin decor for people's spaces, so the custom resin products, tables, offering to do floors, refurbishing furniture, just to offer decor pieces for people's spaces. And now I am offering interior design services, all encompassing services for residential and commercial work.
Wow, that's amazing.
Dang,
We said 2020.
2020.
So, how was it in 2020 coming up in the game, I like to call it, versus, now, 5 years later?
So, mm, elaborate. I'm sorry before I answer.
Like, it could be different trends that people utilize or different designs people, had in the
Mm.
early, 2000s or 2020 versus now, which is more modern or technology based.
Yes. So, actually, I guess for my business personally, in 2020, I did a lot more resin work than I did interior design work. It took me a little while, actually, to start getting clients that weren't family and friends. I didn't really have a huge portfolio of work from my business, which is what people want to see before they want to come trust you to do work in their space. So, initially, it was a lot of getting my name out there, doing pop up shops, selling coasters, trays, little tables, things of that nature, meeting people, networking. Whereas now I have more clients and am doing more of the opposite, which is where I wanted to go with my business. I even offered resin dominoes at one point, and I felt
That's
like I became,
dominoes.
yeah, I felt like I became the domino girl for a little bit. And while that was nice, I was like, wait, no, that's not what I was trying to start this to do. I was trying to be, do interior design services. So I have gotten away from the domino girl thing,
Did you
and
bring it back at some point?
I would definitely still make dominoes for people. I'm not against it. It's just that at one point that was a lot of my business, which was great. And I'm not mad about it. I'm not complaining. It, sustained me for a while and I love that. But I definitely wanted to make sure that the focus and the heart of what I was doing was in interior design.
The focus and the heart. Wow. So how important is like marketing yourself and branding yourself as an artist or as an entrepreneur?
Mm-hmm. Very important. Because that was so much of what I did and so much of what I was offering, at the time. That's what people saw. And so a lot of what I had to do was shift the focus of what I was posting, how I was marketing myself, the spaces that I entered, the people that I networked with. I'm grateful for everybody that I met, along the way, of course, but just trying to enter into spaces that aligned more with what it was that I wanted to do. So marketing is very important. What you show people is what they're going to know you for.
That's very true, especially in this world of social media now. People they go to your Instagram or Facebook or whatever versus your website.
Mm-hmm.
So it's mm, I could speak on it a lot, but it's a double-edged sword,
It is.
because you could get caught up in it and start scrolling and be like, oh, I'm supposed to be posting. So
Yeah.
how do you balance that?
That's true. That's a very good question too. How do I balance it? I actually am going to try a new technique here recently, or here soon. My schedule is changing a little bit, so whereas before I kind of would create content more so on the fly, I'm gonna try to do better with scheduling my content
Okay.
and like trying to be. I know people that are a month ahead, on their content, and so if I can at least get 2 posts a week, scheduled out for the month. I want to try to, use that as my first goal. Um, to stay steady. It can be hard trying to stay steady with
Mm.
posting and content and remembering like, oh, I should be recording this. Oh, I should be getting a picture of this because you get so caught up in the moment. Like I'm really big on, genuine and organic connections with people that I work with. And sometimes you don't remember to take your camera out to record or to get a picture or
Yeah.
something.
That also could be a way we collab, because
Yeah,
I'm in the media space.
true.
That's my specialty, and I can help with the social media.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna need you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. We'll talk afterwards.
Yes.
But still being on the lines of all the marketing, how do you stay updated with the latest trends?
That's a good question too. I subscribe to Architectural Digest. I've been subscribed to the magazine on and off since I was in college. Reading that, following different pages on social media. So I'm really particular about my algorithms on my social media accounts. So
One
like
more time for the cue, because I think, oh, that is important. Wow.
it is so important what you interact with. Really, that's what your feed and your For You will show you more of.
Yeah.
So, of course, I have like my personal pages and then I have my business page. My business explore page looks totally different from my personal page. My personal page has like a bunch of food because I love to cook. Uh,
What you like to cook?
anything. I just cook. Like if I want to make it, I go make it. I don't mean to sound like that, but like that's really me.
Cause I like to cook too. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
cooking
not
is
so
an
much
art,
on
in
the
my
look,
opinion.
but I'm more so on the taste and
Yeah,
texture.
yeah.
So I know you as an interior designer, artist.
Mm-hmm.
Are you more so on the look when you cook, or you focus on the taste?
All of the above. I think that's one of the nice things about interior design is it blends a lot of aspects of art, I guess I can say, because you can't leave out look, you can't leave out color, you can't leave out texture. Like all of that plays into the space.
I do
You
that.
want to have varying textures. Um, again, colors. Like my plate, I try to make it look colorful. So like I try not to have two things that are the same color on the plate. Try to like make it have variety a little bit. And you do the same thing in spaces. So it kind of and I know other artists that are, and creators that are out there listening, and I'm sure you can too. Like art is everywhere. So it's all in just how you look at things. Like I used to want to be a hairstylist when I was a kid. I looked at, and I still do look at hair as art. And my mom would just look at me like I was so crazy. She's in medicine. And I'd be like, like, oh, do you like this hairstyle I did on my breast doll head? And she'd be like, oh, okay. And I'm like, it's art. And she's like, okay, you think so? But like, it was to me. Like, and even from a young age, I was able to see art in a lot of different ways. So even in food, like, I feel like they mirror each other a little bit.
That brings up a good thought and question. Have you ever thought about blending the two? Maybe a new real estate agent, they just got a house and they hired you to do their interior design, and they have a house warming or
Mm-hmm.
open house, and you make the palette cooking almost to match the interior design.
Mm.
Have you thought about something like that?
I haven't, but I have seen like on Facebook people do kind of like there are culinary artists that pull from architecture and design for their dishes. And they even create 3D. Even when I was doing work in Boston 23 and 24. And when I was out there, I think in 23 there was a restaurant that created 3D printed pastries.
Pastries
Yeah. Yeah.
that you can eat.
That you can eat. I
3D.
don't know exactly how, but they said they were 3D printed. Now, I know how to 3D print. I learned how to do that in school. I have a little mini 3D printer, but I don't know how but they would create like 3D printed pastries. And then I've seen culinary chefs like just create like these forms that almost look like, what did they used to call them? Like the prototypes or the models that we used to create in school of just like balsa wood or balsa. Is it balsa or balsa? I can't remember. It's okay. But just like wood and like cardstock paper. Like we would just create like these free form skeletal models that were like, to get inspiration or kind of could be molded into a building essentially. And so they create like these dishes that almost look like the models that we created in school. So people do that, to your point, but I've never thought about it in the sense that you just brought it up, like, in an open house and drawing inspiration from the space.
Cause I'll be there.
That's a thought.
Mhm.
Like you got my wheels turning there, because like I said, I do love to cook. So
Yeah, blend it together.
yeah, it's like cooking is peaceful to me.
Mm,
Mm.
cooking is peaceful. Cooking is, I ain't gonna say chaotic. It's
It
more
can
creative and
be.
like I said, it is peaceful now. I think about it because I'm mostly in my zone. I can spend 8 hours on a dish. I know it don't take that long sometimes, but
Some dishes do.
I take my time.
Yeah.
Like I sit there in the kitchen with that 10,000 bag of shrimp and literally cut them little shrimp and make sure it's clean to the
Well, you got to, because it be veins all up in the shrimp, even if it say deveined. You got to look. Yeah, cooking can be meditative.
Mhm.
It can be. Like when I would be overwhelmed in school with projects and deadlines, sometimes I would just stop and cook because it took my mind off of work. And I was able to just kind of like do something for myself for a couple hours.
Work for you or work for someone else?
Like when I was in school, both. So like when I was in school, like schoolwork, and work, because I was working in school too. But like now, I work for myself and I work elsewhere.
Okay.
So both.
So more so like an outlet to where you could kind of shut it off.
But it's still creative, and it's something that, like I'm doing it for me and whoever it is that because I love to cook for people too. Like that's like one of my ways to show that I care about people. Like I will cook for you, and the first time I cook for people, I'm always nervous because it's like, ooh, I hope they like my food. So like, it's a way to, like, I'm getting something out of it, whether I'm doing it for somebody else or like, directly for myself or both. So it's also like a feel good moment.
Yeah. I'm still tripping about this pastries. Like
Yeah,
it
I'll have
was
to show you
edible.
pictures.
What was the nutritional facts? Did you know?
No, I
I'm
didn't get that
curious.
deep, but I just was like, okay, cool. I didn't get that deep with it. I don't even know if the ladies that were working at the bakery, I'm not even sure if they have all those answers, because there's probably somebody who, and maybe they did. Maybe they did, but there's probably somebody that engineered it and, got all the kinks and stuff out, and they just kind of, trained them on what maybe they felt like they should be. So I don't even know if they knew all of those
So
answers.
technically, is genetically modified GMO.
I wouldn't say it was genetic.
I ain't trying to call them out in
I
there.
mean, maybe if you look at it that way, but it was just.
Because if you do the same thing for like farming, it
Mhm.
would be genetically modified.
That would be modified. Yeah. I'm not really sure the science behind it
Yeah.
and what made it 3D printed. I'm really not sure, but that's how it was described.
I'm gonna have to go to Boston now.
Yeah, but it's a very cool city.
Okay. So can you explain a little bit about your style and process?
Like my personal design style?
Yes. Just designs.
Just designs. Actually, and I don't know if it'll sound crazy or not, just because I am like, relatively young, I appreciate traditional design a lot more than modern design.
For the younger artists, what is a traditional design?
Ornamental design, gilded like pieces, things that are timeless, things that you may see in like your grandparents' house, but like heirloom quality pieces that can be passed down. So like the timelessness of it is what I appreciate. And design goes hand in hand with art, in which, what was going on at the time in the world is reflected in art and design also, and architecture. And so, I've done was in like history classes and stuff, and I'm kind of into history a little bit. I'm not gonna say I'm a buff, but a little bit. And so I appreciate, you know the history behind certain things. Um, like the Art Deco movement, for instance. I believe, don't quote me if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, y'all, but from what I remember, it came about around like maybe after the Great Depression, like after the 20s. And, since people were so deprived of so much during that time, there was a lot of excess after that. So, it was around like that time where people, lots of gold, lots of patterns, lots of excess in design. Like I like rooms to feel full. I like spaces to feel warm and inviting. A lot of modern design can feel that way, but a lot of it is cold and down to the colors. A lot of people want neutral, they want to play it safe. Um, and that's understandable, but
So just taking this small area that we're in, this space,
mhm.
what are some things that you could be like, huh, I'll just add this and make it stand out, or I wanted to see it this color.
Mhm.
This is more so like an audio space, more of a meeting room.
Mhm.
What are some things you would do to enhance it?
So actually, as far as soundboards and things go, they have a lot of, like, you have a cool design on yours too. They're hexagonal, but there are a lot of different designs and patterns that you can get on soundproofing boards and a lot of different colors. So I would like bring some of that in, but I would probably pull the colors from your branding because since it is a business, you want to make sure that it's reflecting.
Well, for this black and yellow,
Yeah.
bumblebee.
And then maybe pull in, since it's just black and yellow, maybe pull in like another accompanying color. Probably maybe more of a little bit of a neutral color to like throw in there, depending on which shade of yellow we were working with. Um, so yeah, definitely start there. I love rugs and spaces. I think they make them look very cozy and feel cozy. I love that you have a sofa in here. That's very inviting as well. Um, if I could, I would get like some really cool lights in here to help like with mood lighting. Also, depending on like, who you were speaking with and what the topic was about, maybe you would need, I don't know, different light brings about different moods.
Yeah, that's actually one of our ideas for this. Bringing the RGB lights. What we have,
Hmm.
for this is straight audio, so I didn't do it today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that insight. That's good. Now I got something to bring to the ten.
Maybe even shelving, like wall shelving, if you needed to like store certain things and you kind of want them out the way, but you didn't want them to take up floor space.
Mm, okay, I'm taking mental notes. I'm gonna listen back to this. Like, wow, definitely give you your credit. Cause I'm looking at it. I don't want to say what percentage is done, but you know,
Yeah, but you
it's
can, yeah.
it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of different hands touch it, so it's like,
It's a collaborative effort. Yeah.
and we're not creative designers, as you can see. Yeah,
You're creative in the way that you create.
I'll take that.
Mhm.
But tell the tale. She loved our design.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
10
Shout out to
across the
my
board.
media partners, Launch Arts Media, whom we are recording in the space today, and also my other media partners, Pull Up Experience, the Pull Up Experience
Mhm.
podcast. We're big on YouTube, so if you have not checked out an episode, head over to YouTube and type in the Pull Up Experience.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. So continuing on the art form,
Mhm.
is there a difference between representational art and abstract art?
That's a good question.
I got a lot of good questions.
I want to say yes, but I also want to say no. There there is some representational art that is, I don't want to say, more direct in what it's saying. You know what I mean? Like you see it, and like any art, you can ponder on it and, uncover what it was that you interpret from it and what you think the artist wanted you to feel or get from it. But I do think that there is a level of abstract art that does the same thing. A lot of people look at abstract art and they're kind of like, what is this?
Yeah.
I'll give you a great example. One of my favorite artists ever, Jean Michel Basquiat. When you initially look at Basquiat's work, I learned about Basquiat my freshman year in college. And even, I'm going to be honest with you, even when I initially looked at it, I wasn't all the way sure of what I was looking at. But the more we learned about him and his work, and I really appreciate how my professor described it, is as his work, a lot of it was to capture the essence and the soul of New York and where it was at the time. And I feel like that line alone made his work make a lot more sense, and it made me appreciate it a lot more. So, a lot of what he has done, you could potentially classify as abstract art. You know, he worked very closely with Andy Warhol, who also has is known for more like pop art or abstract art as well. So, you could classify it as that a little bit, but it still has a meaning behind it. You know, like Jackson Pollock is a very famous abstract artist as well. He's known for like those splatter paint
Okay.
paintings. Some people can look at that and they'll say that's just a bunch of dots and dribbles. My kid could have done
I'm
that.
one of those. I love abstract art, but
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, or you can look at it as there was energy put behind it and that energy came from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if he was really angry and there was like, this is representing anger or this is representing heartbreak, like depending on how he wanted to manipulate the colors in that moment. So,
Well,
yeah.
speaking on that, is there like a certain type of client that you go for? Like you said, the energy behind it. So to be positive, it could be negative. Like, me, I elevate positive stories and people getting
Yeah.
positive things. So is there like a certain demographic or target client that you reach or try to reach?
So, right now I'm working more residentially and I did have one commercial project I finished up earlier this year. I worked with Bedford High School. I did their senior lounge, and I worked with the students there on like repainting, and they got to give their input and things like that, which I thought was really cool. Where I want to go is more so into that and like historical preservation. Cleveland's a very historical city. I love my city. I know everybody don't, but
I love it.
I love my city and I'm here for, the development and the revamping of the city because it's old, you know what I mean? Like, and everything is in a cycle. So, we've been in a cycle where we kind of have a lot of outdated things going on. It's time to kind of bring it back around. And I want to help preserve the integrity of the historicalness of the city, but also I hate to say modernize because I don't want to make it modern, but like, bring it a little up to speed in some
Yeah.
ways. Um, so that's really where I want to go. I would love to work in schools, I did my senior thesis on the school and how like the infrastructure of a school directly affects children's learning. I love kids. Let's just put that out there. Like how it affects their learning, their efficiency in school and how they feel about themselves first and foremost. If you're in an area where it doesn't look good, sometimes you don't really feel good when you're in that space either. And certain areas don't get as many updates or, the buildings aren't touched on as much and maybe the kids don't think about it consciously. But subconsciously it's like, we nobody comes to check us out and like, help us update things. Like, do we really matter? You know what I mean? And so like that's like a subconscious thing that I know I only design, but if I can use my expertise to help in that area as much as possible, like I would love to. But again, right now, mostly residential, which I'm okay with that. It's very personal experiences that you have with people. I think I'm a people person a little bit, so I'm open to different styles. And I actually was really excited. I had a client last year who wanted to do a very modern, sleek, minimalistic bathroom, but he decided to pause the project for unforeseen reasons. I'm not really sure why, but I understand. But I was so excited because that was going to be something totally different from a lot of the other work that I've done so far.
Challenging.
Yeah, challenging. So I'm always up for a challenge and to learn something new. That was a long answer. I'm sorry.
Got my head spinning because I took a I'm usually driving when I go downtown, but I used
Mhm.
to be walking the streets downtown, and you see a lot of negative imagery. Even the statues, they're, full of war or grief or sadness or poorness,
Mhm. Mhm.
which kind of reflects the city and
Yeah.
why they act the
That's a
way they
good
do.
point. I've never even thought about that. That's a great point.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Even the side of buildings. Like,
Mhm.
I'm like, really? So, just the energy that's downtown. I always say there's something about downtown that's just different from the rest of the city. You go
Mhm.
down there, you feel
Heavy.
negative, and
Yeah.
like a lot of negative things happen to me downtown. Like
Mhm.
even getting my car impounded, or
Oh yeah.
it's a lot of things I could go down the list, but I'm not going to bring that to this positive space. Um, so yeah, we could definitely touch on that and change the culture, the imagery around the city,
Mhm.
because that's big.
Yeah.
And you said your environment, you know, having a positive, a colorful, inviting environment. How big and important is that to one's development, mainly children?
I think it's super important. Like I said, it affects their learning. It's very hard to concentrate or really care about, what's going on in the classroom when the building around you is dark. You know what I'm saying? Like it's cold, the lights are uh, these like really whacked out fluorescent lights that are, it's not a lot of I'm really big on natural light. Not a lot of natural light. Sidebar, but I don't know if you know, but like, and maybe you do. So if I'm telling you something that you know, I apologize. But in Europe, actually, any building that they design that people work in, there is a law that you have to be in eye shot from where you work of a window. That's intentional because if you're just in a cubicle all day, like our people here are, that you're so closed in, that's depressing. That's so depressing. Some classrooms, a lot of classrooms in some schools don't have, windows. Like that's not good. um, you hone in on the vitamin D that you get from the sun to, increase your energy. And we already only get like 70 something days of pure sunlight in Cleveland as it is. So we're already, being worked against by just geographical location. But then you go ahead and you put young kids in a space where they can't even go look outside. Like they can't even, and I think that's so interesting that in Europe, they prioritize that amongst other things, that they prioritize surrounding work that we don't. Like, going home for lunch and eating with your children and they come home to eat with you too. Like they like not having an amount of sick days. If you're sick, you just call off work, like stay home, it's okay.
Hmm.
But neither here nor
Yeah,
there.
together,
All of
right.
those things matter. The colors that are in the space matter, especially with kids. Kids don't want to be in a room that's so drab and dark and bland. Even down to the furniture that's used in these spaces. I think a lot of like, I'm pretty sure I've read this too, that statistics show that a lot of, black and brown kids learn better kinesthetically. And, you know, more than they do just sitting at a desk listening to somebody talk at them all day. They have to do it. They have to work with people. They have to learn. Like, we are very collaborative people. Having furniture in the spaces that can be made to, what's the word I'm looking for? That's conducive to collaborative learning as well, I think is very important. So, like they have those things now where you can, in Bedford, the desks that I put in there, you can separate them. You can put them together because the way that they're shaped, they can all kind of be like not put together like literally, but brought together to where the shape is the way that it is to invite that more so. They also had dry erase tops on the desk. So
Wow.
that if they are in there and they're working and they're doing like math and everything, or they're, trying to sound out a word or whatever. I mean, these were high schoolers, so they're probably not sounding out words that much, but you get what I mean. um, that they're able to work on those dry erase desks as well and do their work on there before they bring it to their homework. But of course, tests are a part of our curriculum, so you want to be able to pull it apart for when it's time for that. But I think even the collaborative furniture can even open the door for maybe a different way that we administer tests and that we look at test taking. Maybe, it's not a piece of paper where you have to memorize all of these things. Maybe the teacher comes around to different groups of students and starts talking to them and asking questions to see where they are, you know? Because that's what tests are for, to see where the children are in their curriculum and their understanding. So, I mean, having a conversation with the kid can also tell you that.
Wow, that's unique and also powerful.
Yeah.
Well, how did that collaboration come about? How did you get the contract with?
With Bedford,
Yeah.
one of my really good friends from college, she's from here too. She went to Shaw. I went to Euclid, so we didn't meet until our freshman year. But, we're really good friends. She works for College Now. And it was actually a College Now project, but for their College Now office at Bedford. So the senior lounge is connected to the College Now office there. So it's really for the really all students, but mostly seniors, to be able to come in, to have a space to do their homework, have the space to fill out college applications, scholarships, to work with the College Now advisors there on these scholarships, on their applications, to come like just relax, different things like that. So that's what the purpose of the space was.
Have you ever been to Richmond Heights High School?
Yes,
The new remodel.
not the new one.
Okay. Yeah, I had a chance to actually work in that space. It was interesting, and you talk about more relaxed spaces and more unified spaces, which is unique and also needed to me because I'm big on collaboration,
Yeah,
and
everybody can't know everything.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like I used to love group projects, still do.
Mm.
I'll call myself a creative entrepreneur that is collaborative, or collaborative creative entrepreneur.
Okay.
So, everything is not about me, especially with media, me elevating positive stories. It's not about me. It's a story that's positive, or what I think is positive and need to be, shown more light.
Mm.
But
So, what did you think about what was interesting about your experience at Richmond?
at Richmond,
Mm.
well, just being in the midst of the construction itself,
Oh, okay.
their whole brand colors,
Blue.
white and blue mostly. So they brought that out a lot. I'm like, okay, they really transformed this, to something big because they had, their old building and then the newer building for the high school students,
Mm.
and also a library in it. And it's just to see it all come into fruition, and everything they talked about in the blueprint
Mm.
meetings. It's like, wow,
Mm.
okay. So just to see the behind the scenes for me, and like, wow, you can have more open spaces, because I went to Collinwood and St. Martin, which was
Okay.
more like walking through the hall. It wasn't no hall, or even like you said, art. Like it was
Yeah.
art on the walls. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So to
And that
me,
promotes creativity,
mhm,
encouraging. Yeah.
imagination,
It's
which is big.
imagination. Yeah.
Mhm. So, I mean, just to be in the space of the whole process was just encouraging for me.
That's what's up. That's what's
Yeah,
up. Shout out to these schools, actually taking the time to remodel and do those things, because there are a lot of schools, that have been here as lately, and it's needed. A lot of these schools is old.
yeah. I mean, we got to get you some more schools then.
Yeah, I would love to. That's definitely a goal.
Yeah. So, how would you internalize abstraction? Like, how do you view abstract art?
I mean, kind of what I said. There are times where I look at abstract art and I don't all the way get it, but even if I don't all the way get it and it just looks like a bunch of colors, there probably was some thought or feeling behind those colors coming together the way that they did. So I just look at it as a different way of expressing.
Different way of expressing.
Mm-hmm.
That's unique. You say that, like, as a writer, as a former poet and
Like a haiku
musician.
poet is almost like an abstract poem in a sense.
Yeah, because some people they write to the this is a black gun in a circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm more
Down
so
to the
like,
syllable.
you know, this is a speaking device that comes from, just
Mm-hmm.
bringing a story into it, but then at the end you kind of like, oh, I'm talking about microphone
Yeah.
or a pop filter for a mic, like, so that's just me. Like, I'm known for my poem frequency,
Mm.
which I kind of retired on. I used to perform that poem before, I took a step back from poetry. I start off frequency. Your frequency is what you frequently see. Vibration all in the universe and also inside of me. Alien to the world society. Shooting stars consciously, righteously. I could go on, but
Mm.
you know, I forgot the whole cover was on the microphone the whole time, but I end up, backup audio. So, just painting that picture
Yeah.
versus just, spoon feeding people,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
I
So
get you.
I'm essentially refreshing that you say that because a lot of people don't, appreciate abstract art. They be like, what is this? Or I don't get it. And they kind of give up on it or like discard it. They're like, oh, yeah. Or even like a foreign language, you ain't gonna know it unless you take time with it and practice it.
Study it. Yeah. And I think sometimes too, like I said, I think a lot of artists, specifically abstract artists, create from emotion.
Mm.
And I think what they're trying to evoke from other people with their pieces is an emotion. And sometimes, it's really funny when you read history books and stuff, they'll tell you, like, oh, this artist, this is what they meant by this. You don't know what they meant by that. That's how somebody interpreted it, unless the artist told you themselves.
Right.
That's how, like, we're interpreting it today. But in 100 years, who's to say that the textbooks won't say something different about that same piece because somebody else interpreted it a whole nother way?
Mm. Wow.
Sometimes there is an intended interpretation. Sometimes there really is, but sometimes there is one, but then there's also an open endedness to it too. Like, there's a story there, but they don't finish it because they want you to figure out.
I could say I wrote a lot of things like that.
Hmm.
Created a lot of things like that. Even stuff that I really didn't finish. Like, so,
Yeah.
years has passed. So I mean, it's, open ended and
Cliffhangers.
universe tale. But have you ever experienced a design or any type of art that made you physically unable to speak?
Hmm. Yes. Um, Visiting St. Paul's Cathedral in England a couple years ago. Hmm.
Okay.
Visiting Stonehenge also in England on that same trip. Hmm. Um, the castle in Edinburgh, Scotland that we went to.
Wow.
Like these are like massive. I learned about St. Paul's Cathedral in school. I learned about Stonehenge in school. So it was kind of like, wow, like to see these things in person took me aback. You don't realize how massive things are until you see them in person. When you just seen them in pictures, you don't realize pictures. And I'm kind of into photography too. I took a few photography classes, and I think I'm like an amateur photographer sometimes. So, I'm a little bit into that. And pictures don't ever do justice to what I'm like, to what the eyeball can see.
Mm.
It does not matter. Like you can get a very beautiful picture, and it's funny, like I'll send somebody a picture of like the sunset, like that I took. And they'll be like, oh, this is a great picture. And it's like, no, you had to have seen it in person though. Like, and capturing the moon is one of those things too. It's so hard to capture it. So seeing things in person, being able to see the detail in them, Totally different. Seeing a Mondrian painting in person for the first time, seeing the size of Basquiat's work in person. They had an exhibit. The was it the Guggenheim? Let us borrow, or it was I think it was the Guggenheim. Let us borrow some of his pieces for an exhibit here back in 2017, and I went. I didn't realize how big some of those canvases were until I had to stand in front of them, and I was like, "Whoa, okay."
Oh yeah, I would have seen pictures. So yeah, this
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
missing out.
I wish they bring it back. Or something. We can get something in the Cleveland Museum of Art that's his, like just stays. That would be
Yeah,
great.
I think they did feature him 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
So I know a lot of people was talking about it
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They had like his notebooks and everything. It was cool.
I'll be missing out. I haven't been to a good museum in so long.
Oh, we have such good museums here.
Mm-hmm.
The Cleveland Museum of Art is one of my favorite places. Like when I'm like a little down in the dumps, like that's where I go.
So when the last time you been?
Have I been this year yet? I
So that's a good thing. You haven't been down in the dumps.
Yeah. I mean, I go when I'm feeling good too.
Yeah. Okay.
But like that's for sure a place that I go when I just want to like clear my head or I have a lot on my mind. But I also go when I'm feeling good or if there's like a really good exhibit that I want to go to. I'm sorry I missed the Picasso on paper. So I haven't gone this year. But last time I went was last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll say for me last year too. I do a lot of weddings. There. Everybody want to get married and take pictures. If it's
I want to get married at the Cleveland Museum of Art too. So I'm one of them people. I'm corny.
no. I'm sure you would make it even spectacular and customized to your wedding. So,
True.
and if you ever need a wedding photographer, I am here.
I got you.
So yeah, speaking more on like clients and more collaborations, is there a certain artist or entrepreneur you would like to work with?
Hmm.
Besides me.
Besides you, of course. I actually am really fairly cool with the owner of lounges downtown.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I would love to do more work with them and like
Same.
just more collaborative, yeah, pieces there. Um, I love Lacey. Shout out to Lacey. Everybody in the city knows Lacey.
Yeah, she did my logo.
She's so amazing. I actually was in 2021. She hosted her and one another artist hosted a Cleveland collab art show, and I was a part of her art show. Then that's how I met her. Yeah. Well, back in 22, but we started the process in 21. So
She actually used to be a part of the launch artist team.
real.
So yeah, it's like
She's amazing.
wow, yeah. When I first met Lacey, it was like, man, I'm like, I know we're gonna work together, and she did my logo, and I drew out some sketches, my bad sketches, and she brought it to life.
Yeah.
She blown up like
Yes,
I
I'm
thought.
so happy for her.
Yeah,
So happy
she
for her.
global.
That's from little old Cleveland. Go, Lacey.
Yeah, even having like like you was talking about downtown, like having her art display downtown, good.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think we need more of that, and not just something that's for a couple months or a year, but everlasting, evergreen.
Like to
So
your point about the statues that are downtown, and you mentioned how they are reflective of, maybe sadder times or war times. Having installations and sculptures that are reflective of happiness, of positivity, and a lot of all of her work pretty much is reflective of that, which I think is was so amazing about her. One of the things that are so amazing about her, because a lot of the times, artists are taught or like, historically create from other feelings, like, heartbreak kind of led me here, or like, depression or sadness or, grief or, all of these things that are real and true and deserve to be expressed and shown also. But what about happy times? Like what about positivity and wanting to foster more of that? So I think that's great that that's what a lot of her work surrounds, uplifting
yeah, I
the
mean, it's
community.
about heartbreak because we, all encountering, like you said, some down times,
Mm-hmm.
depression.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are some things that kind of get you out of that mode to create?
Working. Yeah. Like, I just, my locus of control, which is me and what I can do. You can't control somebody else. You can't control how they feel about you. You can't control what goes on in their life. You can't control how that, may make them react or respond or whatever the case. And I just dive straight into what I can control and dive more into focusing on what I can, which is me and my work. So, it helps you take your mind off of things.
So, what helps you get into like your creative space and mode?
Ironically enough, my space. Like, I have always been like this. I cannot function in like excessive clutter and like disarray. Whew. Like, I cannot do it. Like, I will like clean things out periodically because I start to feel people will come in my house and be like, "What do you mean something is wrong?" And I'm like, "No, it's too much stuff in here. Like, it's clutter. Like, it's too many papers on my
Are
desk."
you
Or like,
yes, sir.
not really necessarily. I guess maybe a little bit. I guess a little
A
bit.
little bit.
A little bit. But not necessarily in terms of design, I should say. Cuz minimalist design is like I said, it can be kind of cold. Like, I like patterns, I like color, I like rugs, I like decor, things like that. But I don't want it to be too much to where I feel like maybe it's more of a claustrophobic thing. I don't know. But yeah, so I definitely have to have my space clean. Like, I like to have Sundays off from working, like, because I like to prep for my week. Sometimes prep food for the week and like, cook like a couple of meals or whatever, clean my house, clean my space, write my to-do list out, figure out what I have to focus on for the week, clean my working area. Um, Shoot, clean the whole place actually. And that helps me to clear my mind to be able to get a good start on where I want to start. Okay, I broke my checklist down into this client needs these things done this week, this client that, this is miscellaneous things that I need to do. Now I can like prioritize from there and I can sit down. Like, I really like to start my Mondays if I can, waking up at like the crack of dawn. So like sometimes like 4:30 in the morning, like getting like a really good night's rest on Sunday, waking up early on Monday, making tea. I have this yogi tea that I really like to drink. It's called Positive something, but it has ashwagandha in it. And so, like, it really helps with like focusing and good thoughts. Sometimes I like to light incense sometimes and just kind of like sit and start to go. Maybe play a little music or a show or a movie that I've seen a million times in the background. Just background noise.
That kind of, brings me to a good question, as you say, like incense and music.
Mm-hmm.
What sensory systems do you use? Like, like you said, music.
I love music. Love music. I played the violin growing up, so I played from 5th grade to 12th grade. So I love music. Like, I don't know, like I know so many songs. I have one of my line sisters nicknamed me Juke because like I know so many songs.
So, who's your favorite artist, music artist?
mm, that's a great question. I actually really love Sade. Very calming music. Like, I've always liked her music even as a kid, but her music is music that I like to play when I'm working too, because it is. I actually made a playlist to like of music that I like to play when I want to feel positive and get my day started. Music that's not about like love or heartbreak or a man or like nothing like that. Like, it's just music about life and experiences and positivity. So like Optimistic by Sounds of Blackness, of course that's in there. There's some Sade in there, Earth, Wind and Fire, like Cleo Soul, because she has a lot of songs that are about love, but also a lot of songs that are just about like overcoming in life and positivity and yeah, those types of things. Give me a nice little snack, drink some tea.
So, what you cooking a lot? What's your favorite snack?
Maybe yogurt and granola fruit.
Right?
Hmm.
I'm just helping you out. So people listen to you that want to hire you.
All right, they know what to bring me.
Yeah, and the music to play to get you, have it all set up for you.
Yeah, but I like all types of music. So,
Yeah.
but that's just what came to mind.
Okay. So I know we, spoke earlier about being introverted.
Hmm.
So how important is networking and relationship building?
Ooh, so important. More, and honestly, more important than I wished it was sometimes.
Yeah.
Between me, you, and whoever's listening,
Yeah.
more important than I wished it was sometimes. And it took me, like when I first started my business in 2020, I know I wasn't networking as much as I should. I mean, and for other obvious reasons, the world was shut down,
Yeah. True.
so to speak. But like I would go like in 21 when things started to open back up. Like I would go to pop up shops and things like that, and do that for a few hours, and then just be so happy it was over with. But as far as like going to other events and meeting other people, like I would meet some people there, but outside of that, I didn't really do a whole lot of networking, but it is very important. It can open up a lot of doors to open up other doors. It really, it's true when they say that you should. It's about who you know and not. It's about who you know, because you might think that something is well above what you can do,
Mhm.
and then you realize who's doing it. And that's like no shade, but you'd be like, oh, like, and it's like, well, if
So and so, yeah.
surely I could do that too because have and sometimes you have more experience than somebody that's doing it. You have more knowledge behind something, and you might even have more talent sometimes. And again, that's no shade, but like, you might, but they have more goal than you do. They went after it in a different way than you did. And so, you can't just sit behind your computer and try to put out posts here and there and say like, oh, the clients will come. Like, no, you have to go after them.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's true. So speaking more on, finding your dream client or even your first client for, new entrepreneurs or a new interior designer, would you recommend pop-up shops first or like just from your experience, how would you start off?
The pop-up shop scene definitely was cool. That was when I was doing a lot more of like my resin work also. So, but it's all about how you give your pitch to people too. So when people will come to my table, instead of just being like, oh, hey, I do resin art. Oh, I make coasters. Like, I can do a resin canvas, whatever, whatever. I would also say, hey, like I also do interior design services. So, take my card.
So how would you pitch? If I came up to you,
Mm.
how are you doing?
Hi, I'm Justine. This is my company, Just Designs. So here today I'm showcasing, some of my resin products here. I make resin decor for people's homes. But I'm also an interior designer. So I can come into your space, I can help you renovate it, and then I can also furnish it with one of my lovely pieces here that I have on display and for sale today. I don't know, something along those lines. I be top of the dome. I just be rolling.
Okay, so you a pro right now. Okay.
I don't know if I would say I'm a pro. I think I just kind of like go into like a different space. Like I'd be like, okay, I know I'm here and I have to do this, so let me. And then I just. And sometimes whoever you're talking to, you can bounce off of them too. Things come out in different ways.
Mm. So is it like a bandwidth, maybe like at a networking event, like okay, I gotta talk to at least three people before I leave, or I'm gonna get this speaker, or I know this person will be there. I'm gonna network with them, then okay, I could leave. I'm not leaving until these things happen, or it's just like the kind of go with the flow type of thing.
I guess it depends because I don't think I've ever sat and thought like, okay, I want to make sure I talk to X amount of people. That's actually a good strategy
Mhm.
to help somebody like me. um, I usually do have a reason why I'm going to an event. Either I want to support, whoever's hosting it, or there's something that's really cool about it, the information that I want to get. So when it comes to that, I definitely want to make sure I get the information or talk to whoever, it is that I intended on talking to for sure. But I probably should implement more. Let me make sure that I talk to 3 or 4 other people.
Yeah.
I end up, I usually end up talking to other people anyway, but I never keep like a quantitative track. So
Huh?
that might be good to do.
What was like the most you ever had? And I appreciate you too, supporting, some of my recent events that I
Yeah,
was a part of.
of course.
Um,
I love the creative scene in Cleveland. I feel like
yeah.
from what I've experienced is very welcoming. People are willing to work with other people. I think that's great. Mhm.
Well, it grew to that, and I'm
Okay.
glad to be I'm glad to be part of that change,
Yeah,
in that
that's good.
conscious community. Um, oh yeah, it's like a war zone. Like,
Really?
not just creative community, but just the city in general
Yeah.
or business in general.
Yeah.
I'm glad the culture is changing, the art scene is changing. We
Yeah.
have some talented people.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Yeah, I've met a lot of talented people over the years. Definitely.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's always keep a good artist in my back pocket because, like, we the real, leaders in this community.
Hmm.
We're the first people see, like the designs and
Hmm.
what people hear from music and poetry and, so on. So,
We're speaking for the climate of the world and the culture and society at the time too, which is really cool. I'd be interested to see what the kids are gonna read about
oh,
in the books and reference this time. Like I'm curious to see, like, with everything being so simplistic and streamlined and modern, like I'm interested to see how they will describe where we are as a society and how that was reflected in design, because it's kind of like void of warmth at times, you know.
yeah,
And maybe that's reflective of some of the things that we've been going through in the past few years.
yeah, I'm
Maybe.
very interested with 50 years look from now, even now with like robots that's emerging,
Oh God.
you know.
Are you a fan of AI?
Huh. So, a little joke, or maybe not. Um, my name is AI. A lot of people know me as Alien Eyes,
Okay.
from
But
my
those are your initials.
yeah, photography business, but my actual artist name, Alien Eye Player, the I like iPhone. So AI.
Mm-hmm.
And then also being on the basketball court, they used to say I used to look like AI.
Oh, really?
Allen Iverson, yeah, because I used to have braids and had a little head. And so, but as far as artificial intelligence, again, it's a double-edged sword. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's good for certain tasks and
Mm-hmm.
automations and, to maximize your uh, productivity and also revenue. But as far as like where it's going and like I said, robots, like iRobot, if anybody's seen that movie,
Mm-hmm.
I would say 10 years, that's what they, want to develop and kind of turn the world to, which
Mm-hmm.
is can be scary.
Yeah.
Um, we just have to embrace it and kind of like with music, a lot of things were like ebb and flow and even with how music was recorded and even released and published, like you had sometimes 10-minute songs, 5-minute songs. Now TikTok made it, 9 seconds. So even the thought behind it is becoming more simple and, less work, less talent. They have mumble rap.
Less thought.
Mm. And like you said, yeah, less thought and even artificial intelligent music. Like what?
Yeah.
They
I
got
could
so
get
many
scared.
apps and websites you could just type in a prompt and you got a song.
Mm-hmm. It's taking the human hand out of a lot of things that the human hand needs to be in, I think.
Do you use AI for it?
No.
Okay. Except for it, okay.
No.
Would you like to down the line?
I don't know. I don't want to be totally negative about it. I really don't, because um because it is where things are headed.
Yeah.
But
Or like, okay, let's say if you have a client, you know, on the call with them virtually.
Mhm.
You know, you have a way to kind of put together the room before you actually put it together.
Yeah, but we have rendering programs for that. You see what I'm saying? Like I can yes, it'll be quicker, but what I don't like about it is it can show you anything whether it's functional or doable or not.
Mm.
You know, like people I have had people say like, "Oh, like I just did this on AI really quickly. I have them do my home to make me like it," and they'll show it to you and it's kind of like some of this stuff is not even physically possible. So now it's like you have this idea of what you want, but maybe that's not possible for your space because there are other things that need to be looked at. You don't know if there are studs behind your wall that can support that, or you know what I mean? Like you don't even know if that can be you don't know if that soffit has plumbing and electrical in it, but this is showing you that you could just get rid of that to do. You can't do that technically though. And so that's why you need people, and I feel like we have rendering software that does that. Like that's why you pay an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm into paying people for their craft, not just artists, but mechanics. Like, you know what I mean? Like culinary chefs, bakers, that's your craft. And maybe it's because I have a specialty craft and I have a business, like I understand it from a different level.
Right.
You put time and energy and you money into gaining this knowledge, and you're an expert at this in a way that AI, in a sense, in my opinion, can't be. Like you've touched this, you've worked with this. I appreciate that. Like that's how, like, you keep money flowing. You pay somebody for their specialty, they pay you for yours, like.
Yeah, like you said, like expertise and putting the
Expertise.
time in at 10,000 hours, a lot of people say.
Mm-hmm.
And AI just popped up on the scene,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
So I mean, I guess I'm still trying to figure out how I would use it. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't really trust it at this point, at least enough to do like room renderings, but maybe just for inspirational purposes. Maybe it could be useful for just things like that. Like hey, show me how you would do this room. Maybe I can get inspiration from that, and then then continue to create. But I'm trying to figure it out, y'all. I don't know. I don't want to be totally against it. I don't want to be totally negative about it, but I definitely think that there is something to be said about a human brain being behind something.
And also, we spoke on earlier the emotion behind it. Like,
Exactly.
there's no emotional side with these
Hmm.
robots that's being built and also the AI. But with humans, like you said, you know, we could feel that. And
You want that human touch.
mhm,
And it's funny because while there are a lot of people who like and think that they're more robotic or AI operations are cool, there are still a lot of people that will surprise you and say, actually, I would prefer for this to be handmade. There are still people that do prefer that. So it's just all about finding your audience, I guess.
mm, nice, nice, nice.
Hmm.
So, how would you brace yourself for what's to come? Because like it's here. I'm
Right.
still evolving every day, every week.
Hmm.
You know.
Right now, as we speak.
So, how would you say you would kind of navigate that space? Because you know they could be like, "Oh, I may just hire this robot," and you know,
Hmm.
how would you navigate things?
That's a good question. I mean,
Could what if somebody could make a clone Justine?
oh God.
Like I could just, build a bot. Like I had a build a bot.
Build a bot.
Lord have mercy.
You and then this is on recording. Somebody gonna make that one.
Oh, the AI gonna make it.
Dang.
We got
um,
it's a loaded question.
a robot can't, while it can be efficient, it can be told what to do.
Mm.
But as far as, I don't know though, because AI does come up with stuff. Because I was going to say, as far as coming up with ideas, AI does come up with things,
Well, I think
but
we come up with the ideas and then kind
and we feed it to AI. That's true. That's true. That's true. So yeah, I mean, going along those lines, there's only one of me, just like there's only one of you. I mean, there are people, who feel like there are certain archetypes of people, and maybe there are, but under all of those archetypes are still individual people who have their own thoughts and their own experiences that have shaped who they've become as a person, how they deal with things, how they see things, and how they choose to express or showcase those things. Um, and I don't think that's something that can be replicated through any artificial intelligence or, through a robot. I mean, even being able to sit with a client, like I'm very big on client based design. Like, so functionality and also aesthetically pleasing, aesthetically functional spaces. I guess you can say. I have a client in Twinsburg. We're on his third full project, technically his like fourth or fifth with me, but like full room project. And
like a real estate agent.
no, in his home. So like we did his master bedroom suite, we did his hall bath, we did some touches of stuff in his living room. Um, we're now working on his basement bathroom, and I know him because I've worked with him since 23. It's been almost 2 years now. Oh, we did some lighting fixtures. That was the first project that we did, was replacing some lighting fixtures. He was actually my first client that I didn't know personally. He found me on Facebook. I was like, he took a chance on a young girl. I appreciate him
Yeah.
more than he knows, but I really do. He's a great client, but I use him as an example because I've worked with him for 2 years now. Like, I know him. I know things that I can look at something and say, oh, he probably wouldn't like that. Or I can say, oh no, he would love this. Like, and he'll be like, yeah, I do really like that, because we have that relationship where I've gotten to know him. Like, we go to showrooms, we go to different stores, we look at things, we talk about things. Um, I can tell based upon his body language if he really likes something or not. Like, if he pauses and kind of like, turns his head a couple ways. Yeah, he doesn't like he might think it's okay, but he doesn't like it that much. If he likes it, he'll go, now I really like that. And like, his eyes get big. I know that he really likes this.
Yeah.
You can't replace that. Like, I have connections with my clients. I know the things that he needs in his spaces. He's an older gentleman, so like, he while he's renovating, he also wants to make sure that he's keeping in mind for the future and like accessibility portions also. So there are things that I'm able to think about because I know, these things about him that maybe he won't think about, but we've talked about it. And so, okay, me as the expert and the designer, I'm going to tell you about these options that you have to help with this.
Oh, so I'm kind of curious. Like, I want to kind of hear your thought process on your process. Like,
Mm-hmm.
someone's books with just designs.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of walk me through the process.
Okay, if somebody reaches out, and they want to see what I'm talking about, um, I like to start with the consultation. I like to go meet with them in person, even though I really am introverted at heart. I swear I am, like all my life. But I understand the importance of human connection and the importance of meeting with people who want to do business with you and give you their money. I need to meet with you in person. I need to come talk to you because like this is a serious transaction. I don't take that lightly. So I did just have a client. I did just gain a new client recently. I met her at my old part-time job. I gave her one of my cards. She needed help. She finally reached out to me. She called me. We scheduled a consultation. I went over there. I spoke with her and her daughter. Um, we talked about, where she's come, like, with her space, what she wants to see from it. I measured the space. Something new that I developed was a consultation checklist to make sure I don't forget things when I'm there. And
Systems.
then systems, and then I can checks and balances. And then I can like, draft her floor plan like on that. I made a space to be able to like draft the floor plan on that paper too, so everything is like right there. I take notes from there. I ask whatever questions I have to ask about the space, what they're looking for, what they need, what they like, what their style is. I let them pick my brain about different things. I also, because I am, like relatively new, like on the scene to design, I like to send people my portfolio, my resume. Technically have two resumes, a business one and like a career one for outside of my business.
Yeah.
Um, I like to tell them like, just like about my credentials so that they can look at that in their own time, send them my website, um, give them all my contact info, and I send them a contract. It has my rate on there. It has like my terms and conditions for myself and to protect the client. And as soon as they sign it, we can get started. So, from there, again, client based design, I do make sure that I'm still the one driving, but I want to make sure that we're doing it at the pace that they want to do it at. Like my Twinsburg client, we'll have a meeting. Okay, this is what we're looking for. I'll start looking for everything con- concurrently, like for the space, like, everything. My new client, she was kind of like, well, let's just start with, just this thing in the space and then we can move from there. Okay, I understand. Some people, like she just wants to go step by step with it. So she wants to start. One of the biggest things she wants to look at is her window treatments. So we'll start with the window treatments. And after we figure that out, then we can move on from there. I really like to meet with people in person, though. I did have somebody who tried to do more of like the virtual thing.
Yeah.
It drew the process out way longer. And he had the nerve to ask me why it was taking so long.
Mm.
I was like, well, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to meet with me in person and go to these showrooms and look at things together. We can quickly make decisions and I can learn you and your style more. You want me to keep finding stuff online, sending it to you, emailing it, then you email me back and tell me what you liked or didn't like. Then I didn't care for that as much. I mean, I'm open to it, but I prefer to just get a better sense of my client. So, we go from there. If a contractor has to be brought in, I try to have the plans and everything laid out for the contractor so that way they're literally just coming in and doing. That it's not, I try to do it to where there's the least amount of decision making that has to be done by them because they really prefer to just come in and knock it out. Like they're not designers and they'll tell you that, like, hey, I can recommend things that I've seen, but like I don't really do that. So,
Mm-hmm.
if a contractor or architect or whoever has to be brought in, I try to do as much of all of that work and get everything on order before they come in so they can just kind of like knock the process out. But I still stay on the project with the client to see it through from beginning to end just in case something comes up because things have, or maybe I had a plan for a pattern for something but the tile wasn't exactly 4 by 12. It was really 3 3/8 by 11 1/2. So the pattern that I created, isn't going to work with those sizing, with that size. So I have to go to the drawing board and create something else. Okay, boom. Then here's a new solution. Like, so we're still problem solving, still helping to troubleshoot. And also, people have a lot of interesting interactions with contractors, unfortunately. So I like to be able to be that person, point person there too, to be able to go to bat for the client if necessary.
Well, what type of interesting interactions?
You hear a lot of horror stories from people and contractors that they've worked with and how they've been flaked on or the contractor, ghosted them or, oh, I gave them half of the money, like just like things like that are just not great or they cut corners on things. And
Even with a contract in place?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like people will. So, like, if it's just a client to contractor, a lot of clients don't necessarily have a lot of trade or industry knowledge. So, they might not realize or see that something that you did wasn't done right until well after the fact. But you cut those corners in those ways because, and luckily, I have not worked with contractors like that. The contractor that I work with, he is great. Like, I recommend him. I would always recommend him. But I've heard of these stories, people having gone through these things. And it's because they didn't know any better. And sometimes people are just shady. You don't know any better, and so they'll take you for a little ride and, cut corners to save time, maybe to save money on material cost from their cut. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
things like that where I can kind of, I don't know everything. I'm never trying to make it seem like I do, but I have enough knowledge to be able to say, that doesn't seem right, you know?
Intuition too.
Yeah. And to help hold them accountable, make sure that what the client needs is what's happening, be like that point of contact too. If anything has to be returned, if anything gets damaged, but you have a warranty on it and we ordered it together, I'll help you with that. Like I've had to do that before too. If you need help decorating, like I'll help you with those types of things. So yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned decorator. So a lot of people be like, I'm good at decoration
Mhm.
or decorating.
Mhm.
What's the key differences between a decorator and an interior designer?
That's a very good question, and I'm so happy that you asked that because when you say that you're an interior designer, people think interior decorator.
Hmm.
A lot of people automatically are like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm into that." And a lot of people are into interior design. Like, we have a whole channel surrounded by interior design. But designers typically are a little more trained. Like I said, I can create a construction document set. Like I've learned how to do those things. I worked a year for Joanne Fabric, RIP. So sad what's going on with the company.
Oh,
But I worked there for a year. I designed stores. I was an assistant store designer. So I helped design different stores around the country at different scope levels. So remodels, new stores, and then at different levels of what that store was getting. You would probably think I was sitting around looking at colors, and no, it was all in AutoCAD. It was all technical work, all like construction document sets. Yeah, that was it. So like lighting placement. I can't do anything as far as the exterior of a building, but I can help with remodels and renovations with like the shell of a building. So like even if we wanted to knock this wall down, like I could help create the plans for that. But architects are who do everything exterior
wow.
and foundational architects, and then, engineers, civil engineers,
Hmm.
structural engineers.
Okay. Well, I know on my half, people may hit me up like, yo, how much for a photo shoot or how much for a video?
Mm.
Like, it varies. So have you ever had people or potential clients that reach out to you like that? Like just want a price and not even,
Yeah.
like you said, having that consultation and sit
Yeah.
down.
Well, how much would it cost you to do my kitchen?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, whoa. So in my business, unless it's like a project like that of Bedford High School where it was kind of like more cut and dry of what they were looking for,
Mm.
I bill hourly. I have a design hour rate because
For sure. You don't have to say it if you don't, but give me like a ballpark, like
I'm not gonna say my rate, but
ballpark.
um I think it's fair. A lot of people charge way more than what I'm charging. And I'm gonna work my way up to that, but I'm okay with working my way up to that because I know that again relatively I'm newer to the game and I'm still building my portfolio. So I do have a consultation fee. Like I interned in 2018 when I was in college. I interned for a lady. She has her own business, great designer, family owned business. It was her mom's before it was hers. And but she was charging for a consultation. Like I think at the time, and this is 2018, so I know her prices are higher than this now.
Yeah.
I think it was what 250 for a 2 hour consultation, and then it was like maybe 175 a design hour. Like she was charging, you know what I'm saying? I'm not charging anywhere near that yet, but I could get to the point where I could. I want to get to the point where I do, for like higher end clients. But I bill hourly because people can take a long time to figure things out. And if you tell somebody, "Oh, I'll only charge you 10,000 or 5,000 or whatever to do your kitchen like for my work," not including like the materials cuz they never take that into account either. Like it depends on like, what your budget is and how custom really you want things to be because prices do vary. Like, I hate to sound like that, but like they just do. It depends on, I can take you the highest of the highs for custom. That's like, anything you want, they can do it. But I can also, keep you more budget friendly, but still good quality. So it just kind of depends on like where you are. But as far as my services, like if I tell somebody, I only charge you whatever for to do this, then you look up and really you've charged them maybe 2,500 or so for your time because you thought it would only take that long, but they've used $5,000 worth of your time in actuality. And I just don't want to be caught there, respectfully.
Yeah, that sounds like my first wedding that I took on. Like
And you have to learn sometimes. Yeah.
way under. Like they got a good price.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. And you
and a higher
learn.
staff, so it's like paying them and
Mhm.
the editing behind the scenes.
Mhm. Like, and especially with photography, oh my gosh, the editing on one picture alone
Mm.
can take a long time. Like that's your time.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Then you learn like, okay, I'll edit this many photos for this price.
Oh yeah.
So I actually had to add a clause like that. I just redid my contract where it's like, okay, how many different iterations of a plan and renderings I'll do before I start to say it'll be an additional X amount of money for anything outside of that. Because I did have a client one time,
Mm.
and it was like every time we picked out one thing, they wanted me to redo to re-put it in the plan and show them what it looked. And it's like, well, I have a toilet in there. It's just not this exact one, but they wanted to see that exact one. And it's like, okay, how about we pick out a lot of things and I'll update it all together and show you? But no, they would want like for every piece updated and show it to me.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, that's a lot of time. When we could do it how I'm saying, which is like, let's pick out a lot of things and then we'll update some of this generic things that I put in there just for, showing spatial planning and everything or whatever ideas. We'll update it with your exact cabinet and like your exact toilet, your exact shower system.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes more sense for me.
True. Time is everything. That's
It is.
one of our biggest commodities besides energy.
Mhm.
You know. So how do you navigate with difficult clients or like you said, people that want to draw out the process?
So, luckily I've only really had that issue with maybe one or two clients that I've had. Excuse me. I haven't had that issue, you know, I thank God I haven't, too much. I guess every time I learn something, it's like, okay, I need to apply this in some way. So, like, that was why it was time for me to update my contract again. Like, I learned a lot in 2024. Um, I had really high highs and I had some lows last year, but I'm at the point, like, I'm not mad about any of them because it taught me a lot. And it taught me a lot for the future and things that I'm able to, protect myself and or the client or, my business from in other ways or, my time or my energy, in other ways by implementing certain stipulations. And it's not because I ever want to make things difficult for anybody, but I want to make sure that we are clear on things. And the clearer that you are in the beginning, usually the less issues that you have down the line because when you signed this contract that said all of these things, like you read this, and even if you didn't read it,
Right.
you said you did. So, and it's in there. I mean, it's the same thing when we agree to these terms and conditions for everything. Even if we don't read them, we said we did.
Right. Yeah.
And so you're on the hook for that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately and fortunately, because it's something to refer back to when things get muddy.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, first off, how often do you update your contracts? Is it yearly? Is it
I'll probably start doing it yearly. Like this year, I updated it. I think the last time I had updated it before that was maybe 23, and the last time before that was maybe 21, or maybe 20 or 21. So I don't really have a cadence, but I felt like I had learned enough last year that it was like, okay, it's
So
time.
more so experience based.
Yeah.
Got you.
Need based.
Mm. And how important, especially for newer creative entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in general, how important are contracts?
They're so important. I mean, especially for creatives, like I had a professor in college who used to say, like, it's funny people say, oh, I don't pay you to think to some people. And he's like, but actually, as creatives and designers, like, we are getting paid to think. So, like, your knowledge is everything. Like, your ideas are very important, and you have to find ways to protect that, but also like just keep things clear about what the process will be. You know, I think contracts are very important to keep things more cut and dry, where sometimes things can get muddy or like, that gray area comes in. Like our intellectual, what do they call it?
Property.
There we go.
Yeah.
Our intellectual property is what we have. And everybody, unfortunately, isn't going to value that. Just like in life in general, you have to teach people how to treat you. Even if people don't do it I don't think everybody sets out to intentionally hurt people. Like I'm not from that mindset. Maybe it's because I'm not like that.
Self
I
love is
think
the
that
best love.
yeah, like I think that you view people from where you coming from a lot of the times. So I don't like to just default to thinking people are like that. I think that a lot of the times it's a lot of misunderstandings, and people don't intentionally, misuse you. It's just that you're not standing on what you have enough to make somebody think about it or think twice about what they're doing. They're not necessarily always trying to get over on you, but because you're so easygoing and you're so, go with the flow and laid back, how a lot of artists are. Like, we're very like, chill, open people, open to a lot of different things, which is great. Never lose that, but never let somebody play with you either.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow, I got a special question. I know. Okay, let me kind of process this one.
Yeah, I'm scared.
So, with visual stimuli, is there a certain object or decorations you correlate with other objects or shapes? You know, like a banana is yellow, an egg is white, egg white. But someone's head may also be shaped like an egg
Mm-hmm.
or a banana, mainly because the angle you see it in or perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Do you compartmentalize anything of such?
Man, this is a stumper. And I honestly feel like this is one of those questions that even after I answer it here today, I'm going to continue to ponder on. And I try to pride myself on being self aware, but we can all only be but so self aware. So, it'll start to make me really look at myself as a designer in a way that I don't know that I have really sat and thought about. I definitely like to look at things as shapes. So I don't know if I really have a one way that I like to do things or I correlate things, but it's more of a project based thing. Like I working in furniture sales and like helping people with layouts of their rooms. I can kind of like sometimes break furniture down into shapes and like movement. So it's kind of like, okay. And sometimes like my mind will just like move and I'll say, oh no, do this and then that and da da da. Put that there and put this here. Because for whatever reason in my mind, like that makes the most sense aesthetically. And I'll try to like describe it to the customer and like they'll like it and they'll be like, oh yeah, but I'm trying to like describe how I got there, like, because you have these hard lines here, you want to kind of soften that a little more with some curvature here. Or, you have this L shape here, so let's put something over here on the other side in this corner that's smaller. Like, you need something to balance this side. Like, I like balance, but I also think that sometimes imbalance is balance. Like,
I like that.
if I have like as far as decorating, if there's like a small cluster of like three things of something that's either skinny or small, and then there's something like on the mantle. People asked about help with their mantle all the time when I worked at my old job and like decorating it
Yeah.
and wanting to balance it, but wanting to like shake it up. Okay, well, you can do a small group of three of this over here and then one big thing over here. To me, that's still balance, even though it's not the same exact object on either side, is balance and weight, I guess.
Contrast.
Yeah, but and I'm really big on contrast. Like I love the concept of contrast. I love color theory. I'm reading a color theory book right now that I got from um the Museum of Art in DC, the National Gallery of Art last year. I bought this book on color theory and I've been reading it just like about color over the years. Um I love complementary colors. So if I can like pop in like even if it's not like blue and orange is probably my favorite complementary color set.
Movie
But
sets, yeah.
but even if it's blue and like yellow or like like red, like that, I understand the color wheel too. And like how analogous colors can also be kind of pulled like in ways to make the it doesn't have to be exactly across on the color wheel, but if it's like in that range, like it can work. And like yeah, that's like my thing.
Okay.
hmm
Wow.
So I don't know if that answered that question, but
Yeah, I mean,
there are things where I'll say like, oh, okay, I think I can like if you have like certain textures, like I don't. You just want to like have enough of. I don't know. I don't know.
we was trying to have everything balanced and
Yeah,
your mind.
yeah. It makes sense to me.
True. Okay. So I like to ask a lot of artists this question. But you're a unique artist and also entrepreneur. So it may be a little different for you, but we live in Cleveland.
hmm
There's days we may experience the rain, the sunshine, snows, warm, cold, all in one day. So
That's
taking that
true.
in mind, how would you explain your creative process if it was a forecast?
Like if it was one of those days, you know,
Well, just your creative mindset, process. Like for mine, it's like gentle rain, like a drizzle on a warm, sunny day to like refresh you. And I'm always in motion, so the rain is always in motion. And think about the puddles,
hmm
it's collaborating and building and building and growing and growing. So that's how I explain my creative process.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. What weather forecast would I give? Partially sunny.
Partially sunny, so cloudy or sunny.
Mhm. Mhm. Because I think like there's balance there. Like it's not complete sunshine, but it's not complete overcast either.
Mhm.
And so there's that contrast. There's you go with contrast. There's that contrast of those two things that are kind of opposite but working together. So kind of like bringing and like a lot of the times aesthetic and aesthetically pleasing things or spaces and functionality, sometimes they don't always go hand in hand. Something can look really cool and look really good, but it's not functional or it's not really able to be done or built. So I
That's
don't
what you mean by functional.
yeah,
Okay.
like it's not structurally sound. Like it's not something that can actually be done because of all of these other things that may it can be anything. Like, something is behind that wall, or, this is rotted out, or that's not going to be stable. It'll cantilever. Like, we can't do that. Or, you won't have enough space to operate around. Like, when you have an island, you're supposed to have 36 inches around the island of nothing
Yeah.
so that people can move about around the island in the kitchen. Yeah. And everybody doesn't know that, understandably so. So, you can't get that size island in here because it's not going to work. It might look good, but it won't work. Um, so it's like
36 inches.
sunshine in the sense of, it's bright, it's cheery, it's what you want to do. And then, clouds are usually associated with like more drab feelings. And like, sunshine is more like, good days, happiness, whatever. That's like your creativity at its peak, with your dream, whatever. And then, clouds are, a lot of the times often looked at as like not a great thing. Oh, it's cloudy, it's drab today, whatever. But they're realistic because they have to come, like the rain has to come. Sometimes the sun can't shine that way, the way that it did a couple days ago today because of whatever reason. Like the grass needs this water. The trees need it, the animals need it. And if we don't have the grass, then cows can't eat. And it's a trickle effect. So like, there's all of these things so that's kind of more of like the realism, I guess I would say. And it's me bringing both of those together. Partially sunny.
36 inches. Okay, so that's in numerology. That's the divine eye. So, completion. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Okay. So, kind of wrapping up the interview. How would you say, me being the media, you know, I'm big on a lot of things that's being shown and seen.
Mm-hmm.
Also having a marketing background, but how important is media influence for interior designers? Like you said, you may forget to set up a camera or take pictures because you be in the process. But how important is it?
It's very important. You have to show people what you can do. And rightfully so. That's why I'm so big on sending my clients all of my deliverables so that they can see. I want people to feel comfortable coming to me. I don't want them to be like, "Ooh, I'm taking my chance on this girl, and baby, I don't know what she about to do in here." Like,
Yeah.
I don't want them to be like on edge or not sure. I want to build my portfolio and continue to do that so that I can build my clientele and showcase what I can do off of integrity, off of what I've actually done, off of what I actually can do, off of the truth. Like that's very important to me. Um like I have a conscience, I swear. Like I know some people go, oh Lord, no, mine will beat me up. So like, it's very important to be able to honestly show what it is that you can do for people to be able to want to come to you. That's art. People are drawn to you based upon what you can show them, what you can see, what they can see, how you can use your expertise to create something that they wouldn't have thought of.
Uh, Something I never even thought of. Huh? Not to reflect on that myself, just as a creative artist and entrepreneur.
Yes, yes.
But if we had to sum this interview up with 3 to 5 key takeaways, maybe it's something you mentioned, we spoke about, or something that didn't get to say, or something that's on your mind, but you want someone to take away from this interview. Maybe they listened to it or they're about to listen to it and kind of
hmm
heard this. What are 3 to 5 key takeaways you would say?
Um, I would say, so I'm gonna start with like my entrepreneurs and my fellow creatives. I think it's very important to always remember that there's something that you can learn. Stay open to learning always. I know a lot of the times, like, especially when you get to like a quote unquote expert level of something, you might start to feel like you can't nobody tell me nothing.
Yeah.
um, I'd be a liar if I said that I've never had moments where I felt like that. Like, you can't, like, whatever. But about, whatever the case is, but you can always learn something. There's always a different perspective that you can get from somebody. I think it's very important to either apprentice or intern under people. So that's like one of my biggest takeaways that I always try to leave interviews or like talks or whatever with, is like how important it is to apprentice under and learn from somebody that does what you're doing. I In my 4.5 years in college, I was most grateful for my internship. I went back to school after that summer, and I literally told my professor, like, the last thing y'all should have did was have me get an internship, because I feel like I learned more there than I've been learning here in the past few years.
Powerful.
And, not for not, like, I learned a lot in school too, but I was able to apply a lot more when I was working under somebody like that. She was able to show me the ropes in a lot of ways. Never be too big to ask for help. I think it's great, like, you said that we're in an environment in Cleveland here with creatives where we are more collaborative. I hate to hear that it wasn't like that, but I'm happy to hear that it's grown to that, because you learn so much even just from your peers, or even if you guys are learning together. Like how they may decide to decode something and you decide to do it, are two different ways, and you learn different things because you decided to decode it in different ways or approach it in different ways. Um, Something else to leave people with. Figure out your why. I think is really important. Like what drives you, because like people always ask like, oh, what have you been up to? And I'm like, working. And they're like, well, what else have you been doing? Like, and I'll do fun things here and there too. I've grown to learn. I guess I could say that's a takeaway too. If you are a workaholic like me, definitely make sure that you're taking care of yourself and doing things for yourself that are also fun, and having a sort of a social life. But I really do enjoy working on my business. Like I enjoy it. Like it's days that I get up and I'll forget to even eat because I'm ready to hop up and just start working. Like that's when you have a why and a purpose and a passion behind what you're doing. It sounds so cliche, but it's really not work. It's just like you're just doing. Like I don't know how to describe it. It doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you're doing I guess like your life's mission, in a sense. Like, this is what I do. Like, this is what makes me feel these ways. Like, this is what makes me feel happy.
Wow.
Stay organized. It can be a lot to be an entrepreneur, especially starting out if you're on your own. So, figure out how you got to organize and stay organized, and to do list are your friend.
Mm. I'm glad you mentioned that too, cause like I've definitely had days where I haven't eaten, did anything but what I was focused on.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a few writers, famous writers that had that same kind of mindset or routine where they wasn't getting up from their desk, sitting there 18 hours straight until they finished that chapter or whatever they was working on for that day. Until that was done, they wasn't getting up or whatever. And like I've definitely had days like that where
Mm-hmm.
it's been almost 24 hours, like even no sleep, nothing, like nothing to eat.
You just focused. I was even like that as a kid, though. My grandma used to hate it because I would come in from school and be at my grandma's house, and I would try to get all my homework done before I did anything. Now, I was allowed to watch TV while I did homework because I still got everything done. So, I mean, I had a little bit of outlet.
Yeah.
But, like, I would just sit down, and she'd be like, do you want a snack? Do you want to eat? And I'd be like, nope, not until I'm done. Like, I want to finish this first. When I'm done, then I'll sit and I'll eat a snack. But you got to give me a minute. She'll be like, she hated it.
Yeah. Okay, okay, okay. Definitely appreciate it and always like to ask something that's motivating and encouraging for the audience. It could be a quote that you heard or maybe even some of your, personal words. What would you give an inspiring and new entrepreneur?
The saying about things being brick by brick, and not, focusing on each brick and laying that properly, and not the whole wall at once. Um, because once the wall is built, you can tell what had a good foundation and what didn't. You can tell where time was spent and where it wasn't, and where detail was placed and where it wasn't. The other thing about that too is it can be overwhelming looking at the bigger picture and you don't know where to start. So, that's why it's really good to sit down and strategize and think about the bigger picture and then go backwards. And then, okay, how do I get to that? Okay, well, how do I do that? Well, how do I do that? Until you get to that first step, that first brick. And, it's just about little deposits every day. And every day your deposits won't look the same. Some days you'll deposit 100%, some days you'll deposit 10. But that 10% works towards the bigger picture. Even if you just laid one brick that day as opposed to laying 100 like you did a couple days ago, that's still a part of your journey, and enjoy
Progress.
the journey. Yeah, it's still progress.
And I think Steve Jobs' quote, like, you got to connect the dots backwards.
Mhm.
For success, you got to connect the dots backwards and go
Mhm.
backwards to move forward. I mean, sometimes it can be scary, and I used to write like that, like kind of write the ending first and then kind of wrap it around towards the middle and beginning. Like, okay, once I got the end or how I wanted to end, I could tell the story better and craft the story better, whether it's as fictional or nonfiction. And, you know, I always tell people to plan and, map out what they want to do and put it on paper.
Yeah.
People come to me with so many ideas. I have so many ideas. I tell them, "Oh, write it down. Write it down." They even think I'm joking, but I'm serious. Write it down. Get it out your head. Make it come to life, because you're really doing that when you write it down and you journal and you self-reflect and really, you're like, okay, it's a step forward to what you really want to do.
Mhm.
Like I always like to say, done is better than perfect. And, as an artist and being a perfectionist, it could be hard sometimes, but you got to get out your head and you got to complete,
You got to start
whatever you
somewhere.
started.
Mhm.
So,
And you learn as you go.
yes, yes, yes. And where can the audience and everybody listening in find you if they want to book you, look you up,
Mhm.
contact you, all that good stuff?
Yes. So my social media accounts, my Instagram is at justdesigns_LLC. Facebook is Just Designs LLC. You can also go on www.justdesigns.net and find me. And then on there, you'll be able to see all of my contact information, like my email, justine@justdesigns.net, or my phone number, so you can contact me that way.
Okay, okay. And I will have everything in the show notes. So if you're driving, cooking with Justine,
Cooking.
or, doing something, but you have this in the background, you're not able to write it down or find her on social, it will be in the show notes for you to reference. And as we wrap this up, remember this is Alienized Photos Industry Talk, the podcast for creative entrepreneurs. I am the founder and director of Alienized Photos, Mr. Photographer Jackson, Steve Jackson, or most people know me as Alien. And, you could book me for event photography, media coaching, strategy if you want to ID. I call it IDIBG, not ideology, but I'm tongue twisted right now. Ideation sessions, bouncing off ideas and, having strategy behind it all. And all my social media contacts will also be in the show notes. But if you want to take it down now, you can follow me at Alien Eyes Photos and find me and book me. For more information, visit alieneyesphotos.com. That's Alien Eyes with a Z, photos with a S.com. And if you haven't downloaded the social media app, Fanbase, oh, this is strictly for creators and to help you get monetized with everything you do. So go to your media store. If you got Apple, Android, go to your app store and download Fanbase. And I had a good time, meeting the good brother Isaac Hayes, who is the founder Fanbase over in Atlanta. And yeah, I actually have some equity in that. So, help us both out and download it. Give us some feedback. Tell us how you like it and enjoy it. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything, but I definitely want to shout out my media partners again. Launch Arts Media, who are recording this podcast episode here today, and also the Pull Up Experience. Yes, the top elevation entrepreneur group in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm your host, photographer Jackson. This has been a great interview.
I agree. Shout out Alien Eyes. Shout out Just Designs.
Yes, yes, yes. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Peace, love, and blessings.